Now that's a horror movie. Let's talk about it. I'm the Dumble whose door is always open. Gandalf left the gray and the white because I'm all black. Jordan LaForge, Captain of this enterprise, the Swag King, as crowned by Copa Ex Machina himself, and gonna bother her every day for the rest of this week because she's off on vacation. I am Left Eye E.G.O. How are we doing, my love?
Well, I'm just over here being a side piece. I only got this much of the frame, so it's all.
You know what? Here, I'll help you out with that. There you go. I'll move you into frame. How about that? Is that better?
Guess. I mean, you moved everything around now, so now it's awkward.
You're awkward.
Like you can't even reach it. It's like you have T-Rex arms.
Who has T-Rex? I don't think. You know what? I'm not doing this with you right now. We're back because we have another movie review, y'all. I know that in the last video we talked about the fact that Longlegs was decent, creepy, but not scary. So right after we talked about that movie, we said, let's go see Oddity. And that's what a horror movie is supposed to be, Oddity. For those that don't know, it came out this past Friday. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. Next to Late Night with the Devil, it's my top horror movie of the year. So that puts it in second place. So our review is going to cover, the E.G.O statistics, casting, plot, pacing, and actual scare factor, not creepy factor. And because we don't do the 1 to 5 star crap over here, we do 1 to 5 E.G.Os. So with that,
again, I'm the side piece.
You know what? We're gonna find a place for you, side piece. I mean, it's because I'm married to this, my love. I'm married to the art and the craft. Nah, okay. You said I'm about to be outside with my craft.
To you.
So, honey, first thoughts when you heard about Oddity, because you did watch the preview. I didn't watch preview. Well, I did see the preview, then I showed it to you because we were deciding between Longlegs and Oddity. So what did you think about just the preview for Oddity?
I actually succumbed to peer pressure and chose Longlegs first after seeing.
You're blaming me. Okay. All right.
No, I'm serious because you were like, your brother said it was great. Everybody's saying it's great. And I was like, initially, also too, I was a little jaded watching the previews because you had described it to me as this woman who decides to like go on this quest basically and venture into the occult to figure out what happened to her sister and then take revenge through the occult stuff. And I was like, that sounds like a lot of work. And like, why would you just go do that?
That's fair.
So when you described it to me and I saw the preview and I was like, well, I mean, they do a good job of not giving you the whole story in the preview or trailer. And I already knew I thought Longlegs was going to be a dud.
And that'll actually bring us into the IMDb description. And we'll see if that actually tracks with what we saw. So based on IMDb, it says a psychic medium attempts to uncover the truth behind her sister's murder at the site of the crime. All right.
You definitely didn't tell me she was a psychic medium.
I didn't know that. I just thought she was like trying to figure out how to do it, and then she was going to use it to figure out what happened and then go after him. So yeah, that was the basic description. I mean, they did a good job of that one being vague, and even vague in the movie previews to actually make you want to see it.
Right.
So actually that tracks for IMDb and what the preview says. So that kind of actually matches up. As far as the casting, again, we had in the lead role Carolyn Bracken, who played Darcy. We had Gwilym Lee, who played Ted Timmis, the doctor. We had Todd Murphy, was the guy with the eye. We had Steve Wall. I think Carolyn Menton was in there. I think she played the girlfriend.
Oh yeah, she was blonde in the movie.
Right. So based on the casting, my love, what do you think?
I mean, I don't know who any of them are, so they did a good job.
What is a good job for you then?
I mean, the main character did really well. Being blind, needing assistance, but not being like
helpless.
Yeah. And not letting anyone kind of walk all over her. The sister was good. the girlfriend I thought was a good job to
Yes.
kind of just the witchy, like
irritated
girlfriend, kind of snobby, stuck up, but and the
Ivan.
Ivan, good enough. He didn't do anything acting wise out there that I thought like, oh, he's so good. Yeah, it was just, I mean, they played their roles, and I think actually the plot carried the movie, so you didn't need a big name to
That's
be in
fair.
this movie.
How many egos is that?
That's my opinion.
I did, but how many egos do you give that on the casting?
Oh, I mean, 3.
You know what?
Average. They're all did what they're supposed
You know what?
to.
I am carrying this video. No, I'm joking. No, I'll give it a solid 4. You really did need big names for a movie like this, just like in Long Legs, and I think it's a good comparison between Long Legs and Oddity. Small cast, relatively unknown, only filmed in 3 locations: a hospital, a house, and
the Oddity shop.
The Oddity shop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like a 1-for-1 for Long Legs, but they actually did this better. You know, you didn't really need, again, the big names, only needed small settings. Everyone said that, hey, I'm not taking center stage. It's the plot of the movie that takes center stage. I'm just playing this character. And everyone was very believable. Willem Lee as Ted really was kind of like a douchebag. You really wanted to get his comeuppance by the way that he was reacting. Like, about maybe the first quarter of the movie, you're just like, okay, he's a regular doctor that just works nights. As the movie unfolds, you're like, this guy really is a dick.
Yeah.
Like, and he really did a good job. Again, Carolyn Menton that played the girlfriend, she did a really good job of being dismissive. Like, why is she here? But because she's blind, I guess I'll take pity on her.
Yeah.
But letting her stay in the house. Steve Wall that played Ivan, he was psychotic, but not sociopathic. Where there's that disconnect. Yeah. He's like, I want to do it because I'm bored.
Right.
And I can. And I work in a place where no one asks questions.
Yeah.
But yeah, Carolyn Brackham's fantastic. Again, blind and needing some kind of help, but using that to her advantage by people taking pity on her. It's like, well, you think I'm meek and weak just because I'm blind? Like, no, I actually can see things if I touch them.
Yeah.
And I know that there's something going on, and I'm going to figure it out. I forgot to mention, that this was written, directed by Damien McCarthy. This is only like his 2nd or 3rd movie.
Really?
He mostly does shorts.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was
pretty good.
It was tight and it was taut. So we got casting. So for the plot, honey, what do you give the plot?
Oh, 5.
Yeah.
Hard 5.
Go on.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't. So I thought that the plot, it had like the beginning, middle, end, right? Just like any story. It really didn't veer off, and it didn't have to take you down these long, winding paths.
And you didn't have to say part 1, part 2, part 3. Like Long Legs did.
Even with the background of their mother, like, we didn't need a whole spiel on that. There was, something that helped them really explain it. And you're like, oh, so this is kind of like familial, this medium thing.
And they take it seriously.
Even though others don't really buy into it. They don't push it too hard, but,
it's a part of their lineage.
Yeah. There was only one part of the plot that I didn't like, but I can live with it. And I can't really say what it is.
Okay.
But it might have, the trapdoor.
Okay.
It might have been necessary, but I'm not sure why.
Okay. So they look okay.
I just don't know. Like, I didn't expect it, maybe.
Okay.
So
I kind of like it because we'll talk about the offspring, but I'm gonna have to give the plot a 5 too.
Really?
Yeah, just because, just like Late Night with the Devil, it was a simple premise. And it's like, well, how are you going to tell me about something that I've already heard before? You think someone did something and you're not sure how you're going to prove it. And it's like, well, this is how I'm going to prove it. And not only did they explain it, I knew the beginning, middle, and end of why.
Yeah.
They told me how. and they just said, "Hey, sit back and watch how it's going to happen." It
Mhm.
didn't change the fact that I was still very interested from what seemed like a simple premise.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, it was like, "Hey, I think you did it. I'm going to use the
Mhm.
skills that I've already gathered from both my abilities and my familiar heritage of collecting oddities, knowing
Mhm.
the history and what these things present. I'm going to use all that to figure out one thing: who killed my twin sister."
Yeah.
And that's it. And I mean, the fact that they, guys, if you can use a wooden mannequin to terrify the hell out of an audience, you've done great. There is a wooden man. If you look at the picture on the cover of this movie,
Oh yeah.
there's a wooden dude. All right. I have never been terrified of a wooden mannequin except in this movie.
Yeah.
The
It was
mannequin,
terrifying.
yeah, like, and the thing is like, number one, you're like, it's a mannequin that was in a box. It's a wooden mannequin in a box, but you're like, at one point, the box is the wooden man is in different chairs at different positions in the house,
Just moving around.
just moving, and we're like, yo, did the blind girl move her? No, did it move itself? What is happening? These are questions we're asking us, and we're watching the character like. And she's too terrified to say anything because it's like, I can't ask the blind person, did you move this wooden? So it's like she's using it to an advantage,
Mhm.
and it almost becomes a plot point.
Yeah, it did.
And now it was actually really funny, but it was masterfully done though.
Even at some points where you're like, I don't get, like, very smally, like, I don't get why maybe they're showing me this or I'm hearing this, but then by the end I'm like, oh
yeah. And that was the thing. Even within the plot, sometimes you can forget a detail or like a callback. Like, hey, remember this thing I told you about, kind of hinted at? Here it is at the end. And you're like, oh, she wasn't playing. And you're like, well, based on who you told me the characters were and their proclivities and what they do and do not believe in, this action you took makes sense. Even when, the main character figures out why her sister was murdered, she really is still distraught.
Right.
Like, yo, why did you didn't have to do this at all. I'm mad that you took someone away from me when it wasn't necessary. And you're like, wow, you didn't really forget the fact that, like, it still pains you that you lost somebody close to you.
Right.
Like, you didn't lose track of what the main goal was to figure out.
I also liked at a point the sisters, even though one was dead, they kept who they were intact.
Even for being twins.
Yeah, I actually really liked that.
Yes. Too. It brings us to the pacing. Okay, I will say this: Oddity is what we thought Longlegs was going to be, based on the pacing. I have not been that terrified of quiet in a while.
Right.
And just not like, I mean, guys, like, you're literally just seeing a woman that's sleeping upright on the couch, that's scary enough. There's a wooden man at a table, and it's dead quiet. And you don't know what's going to happen. All you know is you're like,
Well, that was us most of the movie. I don't feel like there were a lot of it's not like they were trying to jump scare you. No. You just could feel the tension and you knew that something was coming.
You just didn't know what.
And you didn't really know what.
Yes. It's hard to kind of explain. I will just say that there were things that would scare anyone in that moment. And I guess it could have scared, and we knew that, the person that was in the house was scared, but like, hey, I'd have been scared too. And they set it up to us saying, like, it's an old house. Lights don't necessarily, lighting isn't always the best. It creaks. And they use that to advantage, like, oh, was that like, okay, is that old wood creaking or is somebody in this house? And again, even though it had quiet, still moments, you could hear a pin drop. Look at me. I went to a Regal movie theater, right? I had the closed captioning glass. I was like, hey, I don't hear anything creaking. Did they say? Someone whispering something? No. And then, and it was like that for most, if not damn near all of the movie. They did a really good job with stillness.
They did. They did a good job with stillness and smooth. I don't want to say jump scares. I didn't feel like they were like, I'm just scaring you to scare you.
It would have been
scary. Was purposeful, smooth, kind of like reveals.
Yes. And you find out the real reason for the guy with the white eye being at the house. And you're like, wow, that was a very good job, because you could have gotten lost in trying to make this epic story and do all this exposition. You're like, nope, that's the real reason why he's there.
Yep.
You know, and that's, you know, it ties in. And again, with having the callback at the very end, it's still, and not like we pulled the picture out and it's black. It's like, oh, yeah. And you don't have to actually tell me what's going to happen. I know what happened. All right. All I'm saying is, hey, some people learn by seeing other people mess up, and some people just have to do things to see what's going to happen to them. I'm the first. I'm like, why didn't you do it? I said, no, why not? You told me not to. Why would I? You told me not to. Why would I?
You don't press the button when they say
Hell
don't press
no.
the button?
Ain't no way. Nah, push the button. Scare factor for you.
Wow. Usually, you know, I'm like,
right.
It is all right. This time I'll give it a solid 4.
Go on.
Solid 4, 4.5, actually. Like, I typically don't get scared at movies. I know it's coming. And this one, we knew it was coming, but like I said, they
didn't make it any less creepier.
It didn't make it any less creepier or scarier. And they were more like reveals. It wasn't, I was like, oh my God, I'm scared to see what they're going to show me right now. I'm not scared that something's going to pop at me. I'm scared about what they're really about to show me.
Right, because it's going to be important. They did this one camera trick because the twin sister that died has a camera. And so one of the girls is in the bed with it, and she's going through like some of the video camera moments on there with the one that the sister that died. And they played the same thing twice. And I was like, didn't they just play? And then I was like, oh, they had a scary moment within that. So even though you're thinking someone's replaying something, it's like, no, I showed you what it looks like. Now, if I show you this, what do you think that means? Again, all the scares were very practical, didn't require CGI. And even like the main moment that you've been waiting for that you thought was going to happen, when it happened, it wasn't CGI. It was practical effects. And it was the fact that, you know, hey, the blind sister actually called upon something, and you know, there are certain magics and certain things come with a price, is what I read into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, guys, all in all, go see that movie. It was awesome. And again, if you were slightly let down by Longlegs, please go see Oddity. And if you're wondering whether to watch Oddity or Longlegs, Oddity, definitely. But for the horror movie critic E.G.O and myself, guys, we are out.